starts to send off signals when that thermostat dips too low, and it's going to, like I said, it's going to be very, very concerned about that and want to pack on that extra weight. We always hear about yo-yo dieting and weight cycling, where yes, we might lose weight initially, but it typically comes back and then has extra, right?
Yo, do not listen to this influencer. Do not listen to this influencer. Nah, you're just an addict, buddy. Straight off the bat, I noticed that you're not alone. Call number. You are alone. Nah, sorry. I'm joking. I'm joking. But anyways, let's get into this video.
These are so unhealthy. I can't believe you're eating them. No, they aren't. They're just processed sugar and carbs. You cannot tell me that's healthy. You're describing something not being nutrient dense, which...
Okay. Even though I agree to this to a point, this is not healthy. Yo, yo, this has like 500 calories. Look the shit up. I'm dead ass. These are not healthy, bro. These are the worst cookies that you could ever buy.
But me eating one right now is health promoting.
This is why I tell people to not blindly trust dietitians, especially ones who are in the media. A lot of them are trained with ideology that will make you unhealthy, or they're being paid off by big food.
But no, it's just not nutrient dense. You gotta understand that, dude. You're just wrong, bro.
Promote junk food, which, by the way, is something that food companies have always done, like creating a food pyramid that tells you that Frosted Flakes or other garbage brand name cereals are good for you.
Yeah, it's crazy.
One right now is health promoting. How? I wanted one, so I ate one without guilt or shame present. Well, until someone pulled up a chair. By doing that, I actually crave these less and can eat them in more moderation. I think that's pretty healthy.
Just don't eat them at all. How about, like,
Promoting.
Whether it be good food or bad food, if you can't resist to have it, it's a problem. You should be able to control yourself with what you eat, regardless of if it's good food or bad food. If you're eating good food consistently, you strictly just can't have bad food. That is also a problem because that means you have a negative relationship with food. You should not have a relationship with food whatsoever. It should just be food that you're eating. Now, of course, you should know your limits and everything. And if you have goals, you should not eat it. But you should be able to eat it without feeling that you are harming yourself.
That's like telling someone that smoking a cigarette promotes health because it makes you crave them less. Yeah, until you crave another one 10 minutes later. Real quick though, this video is sponsored by Rocket Money. More on that later. But junk food is designed to be as addictive as possible, so it's full of excess sugars, oils, salts, and a bunch of mystery ingredients that make it very difficult to stop eating, which is why junk food should be eaten as sparingly as possible, preferably not at all when you're trying to lose weight.
Yep. That's why a lot of condiments are also filled with sugar, just because it's very addicting to have them. And then when you don't have food with condiments, it's really hard to.
A protein copycat recipe for those by my girly pop at healthbabe_XOXO. She's got it all. You do you. I'll see you when you ask me to share some of this one after you've eaten 8 of those trying to hit the spot.
Okay, so full disclosure, I'm going to...
Also, eating raw broccoli, in my opinion, I don't see why you would do that. Just literally put it on a pan, cut it up, put some olive oil on it, and then heat it for like 350, 30 minutes. Easy. It's actually so good. And if you want, put butter on it or whatever. It's still healthy. It's just a bit technically less if you wanted to consider it, but it's not really. It's just it has more fat in it.
Not give the impression that I never eat junk food. I do eat junk food, but I do so on occasion, not daily like the average American.
I don't at all.
Almost always the healthiest available version that the store sells, or I make it myself. Anyway, I actually tried crumble cookie for the first time a couple weeks ago because it's come up in my content several times recently. I have to say that this was the biggest waste of money ever. The cookies were extremely dry and the frosting tasted like that chemical stuff that they put on store-bought cupcakes.
Because it's literally like pure sugar. Because when they hide the sugar with all this other stuff, then it actually tastes good and addicting. But when it's just pure sugar, like how much is in crumble cookie, it's terrible. Like, it's so bad.
Ended up throwing them out after only taking a bite of each cookie, and it definitely did not hit the spot. Honestly, if some of these people who eat this stuff learn how to cook, then they would be so disgusted by low...
I think it's also just because a lot of people that eat this dog shit don't consider it to be dog shit because they're so used to it. They're so used to these sugar-dense foods that they actually don't find it to be bad. They actually find it to be good. And it's so addicting. That's why when you try to limit them to actually good, normal, healthy foods, it's so out of whack. They feel so out of character. But the thing is, that's not normal, buddy. That is not normal.
Low quality junk food that they would stop craving it. Nobody eats McDonald's because they sell high quality hamburgers. They eat it because it's like a cigarette.
Yeah.
Or because
Yeah,
they don't know
literally.
how to meal prep and it's convenient.
Yeah.
That
Now, Five Guys. Five Guys is actually good. I think that's the only really good fast food place that sells real burgers, I think. But it's just extremely expensive, of course.
being said, this is 32-year-old dietitian Colleen Christensen, a person who has so many ridiculous takes that she has a whole Reddit page dedicated to them.
That's
But Colleen
crazy.
is known for her Instagram page, TikTok, YouTube channel, and blog that probably no one reads. What is thin privilege and why you need to know? As a society, we're becoming more aware of our own privileges, including white privilege and male privilege. Great, so she's a racist and a sexist.
Okay, anyone that understands anything about society right now, can you explain to me what is male privilege? I would really love it. Also, white privilege too. Can you explain those two to me? I would really love it. I see that tossed around so much. Not a single case I've seen that is actually true. I think that there's class privilege, but I don't think there's race privilege. Which black man is gonna have more privilege than a poor white man? You feel me? But
Of their hard work and saying that they must have had it easy because they're white is not only a racist ideology, but it effectively demoralizes the people that it's supposed to help. The
literally.
article then goes on to talk about thin privilege as if you can't just change your weight. But let's look at one of the advantages that thin people have. Number 3, are you able to go out to eat without worrying about if the seating will accommodate your body size? Bro, how big are you if you have to worry about chairs breaking when you go to a restaurant? Get some
No, literally. If you're filling up 2 seats, bro, especially in an airplane, that's a problem. They need to fix immediately. Like, in fact, this quite literally happened in an airplane. And if you don't believe me, I'm gonna show you the clip right now. I'm dead ass.
Just assumed I could walk and would rather me do that, instead of her having to push someone my size up the jet bridge. All the other attendants wheeled their passengers up the jet bridge, but my needs were disregarded. This is discrimination. Nobody should be treated this way. Share your story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You heard her. She thinks she was discriminated against because she said such a pounds and wasn't pushed up an airplane. Yeah, that's how the world is right now. Yeah, it's great.
bowl. So no, I'm not shopping at an inclusive store to mitigate my thin privilege, and I hope clothing stores charge double for the
Now, with some foods that are junk food, though, I actually understand. Just because a lot of these junk food are actually less money and fill up a kid more. But at the same time, if you're gonna do that, at least make sure he's not an iPad kid. Because if he's an iPad kid and he's eating this trash food, then you just become obese, and that's not a
bigger sizes, or refuse to sell
not good
anything
at all.
over large. I don't want to be a fat ally. I want people to get healthy. Clearly, Colleen doesn't want anyone to get healthy because she'll give obese people nonsense copes like the set point theory.
Our bodies actually have kind of an internal thermostat, and this is called the set point weight theory. Essentially, this is our bodies have a weight range. It's typically about 10 to 20 pounds, most scientists say, that our body wants to be at, right? When our weight dips too low, our bodies are going to want to adjust, increased hunger, packing on some extra weight to increase back to that range. Same thing happens when our bodies go too high. Maybe our hunger level changes, our bodies want to feel more active. Bottom line, your set point weight is the weight that you feel best at mentally and physically, where you're not obsessed with food, where you can eat cookies and carrots and cupcakes in ways that feel good.
Okay, yes, this is true to a certain extent. However, going too low, that only is to people that are literally like 6% body fat or low. And 99% of humans are not gonna do that. They're not gonna be at that weight whatsoever. Like,
Good to you, not having any of those biological or psychological needs to eat.
a lot of times you will have cravings to eat more when you're first losing weight, just because your body thinks it needs that energy and everything, because you're not used to it.
All of the things, right? Eating becomes easy.
Yeah, that's not how that works. Like, it's very obviously not how that works.
Yeah.
Again, Oreo cookies and cupcakes are like cigarettes.
Yeah.
I mean, half the foods that you see in the store are just drugs. And if you have the addiction, then the likelihood that you're going to be satisfied by going from eating an entire container of Oreos every day to eating 2 Oreos every day is very low. There's no set point weight for someone who's on my 600-pound life.
No, literally. If you're on something like this, get help, please.
They never find calorie restriction easy, and they just keep eating because the reason they are overeating has little to do with biology. It's a psychological issue. This is why it's much better to just get rid of those foods, replace them with something that's less addictive, and organize your life so that you either don't eat junk food at all or eat it on rare occasions. At the very least, don't eat it daily. But if you thought that last take from Colleen was bad...
And by the way, most people, if they ate junk food daily and actually did exercise, they would still be healthy. Like, look healthy. Anyway, like, they would still be fit. The problem is when you don't do any of it, and then you're like, bro, why am I so fat? What the fuck? Like, how are you so stupid?
Then wait till you hear the next one.
You gotta stop dieting. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it for you guys. Dieting is, like I said, a predictor of weight gain. Our bodies are much more concerned with that thermostat dipping too low.
Never listen to this person. This person's trash as an influencer.
Than they necessarily are with it dipping too high, which is why dieting typically causes weight gain, because our bodies kind of go into like, it starts like, it starts to send off signals when that thermostat dips too low, and it's going to, like I said, it's going to be very, very concerned about that and want to pack on that extra weight. We always hear about yo-yo dieting and weight cycling, where yes, we might lose weight initially, but it typically comes back and then has extra, right?
Yeah. This gives no self-control. You're basically an addict relapsing. Get help, buddy.
Yeah, that's just an addict relapsing and going further into the addiction.
Yep.
That happens with every addiction, whether it's alcohol, smoking, food, or any other addictive substance. I mean, this is such cancer. Not only is she not addressing the actual issue, but she's helping develop excuses that prevent people from getting better. Where's the actual evidence that set points are a real biological mechanism anyway? All these people are just saying, yeah, this set points thing totally exists, but they never provide any evidence of it, and all I've been able to find are articles like this one that say, yeah, it's real, followed by maybe some evidence, sort of, but not really. When they talk about the body increasing hunger during weight loss, I'm not seeing stuff like...
There is no set point for your body. That's the truth of it. The only quote-unquote set point is the actual body composition that your body needs to live. And obese people are pretty much never at that point.
Factoring in hunger management techniques. For example, you can eat a little bit of food, wait 10 to 20 minutes, and your body will shut off the hunger cues that make you want to overeat. A big problem with obese people is that when they're hungry, they will stuff themselves with huge portion sizes super quickly, like they're a competitive eater, before their stomach has time to realize that it's had enough food. Try eating more slowly. So from what I've seen, set point theory is really just a guess. And my problem with weak science like this is that experts will claim that it's biological fact without showing any proof, and that distracts people from things that actually help them solve their weight problem, like learning how to effectively manage hunger cues, or learning how to effectively manage stress so that they don't stress eat. But speaking of discipline and behavioral management...
Ain't no way, dude.
So it is genuinely hard for me to believe that Colleen is not being paid to convince people to eat junk food, because in her own diet, she doesn't even eat this stuff. She'll eat some of the most hippie vegan health food like cauliflower rice.
So I'm gonna go ahead and just add...
I love cauliflower rice, me personally. Especially if you add corn and everything to it, it's amazing.
Some riced cauliflower in there.
I didn't even know that cauliflower rice was a thing until this video. So Colleen will eat some of the most hippie shit like Ninja Creamy vegetable smoothies, but then in her Instagram content, she'll give the biggest justifications for people to eat horrendous junk food.
Yeah.
In this next video, she's comparing an almond mom, which is like a TikTok term for a woman with OCD about how healthy food is, to a no food rules mom, which is a good mom who follows a Colleen Christensen branding. Now, I will suggest that you pay close attention during this segment, because she kind of just quickly...
No food rules. See, the problem when people say that is the fact that a no food rules mom is truly a mom that just gives her kids healthy food and sometimes junk food just because she wants them to grow to not have an actual relationship with food. When you have this relationship with food, though, you're craving the junk food over and over and over again. That's not good regardless of if you're eating healthy food or not. You shouldn't have that level of connection with food.
quickly flips between the good mom and the bad mom with no warning.
Those are not muffins, those are cakes. Way too many carbs for the morning. Ooh, I love these. They may not give as long-lasting energy as, say, a bowl of oatmeal, but we can still enjoy them.
The first one was correct. It's
Yeah.
a cake, not a muffin. You're eating a cupcake for breakfast without the frosting, but now it's socially acceptable because you called it a muffin. Try the chocolate chip one and tell me that you're not eating a brownie for breakfast.
Pure
Not just
sugar.
that, but when you eat a lot of these store-bought foods or get coffee from Dunkin' Donuts, you have to understand that if the product contains added sugar, they are typically trying to put the maximum amount of sugar they can get away with. The amount of sugar they put in this girl's coffee is just ridiculous, and that's pretty much standard for the American diet.
How are they even selling this junk that's filled with toxic artificial coloring? These were my fave as a kid. The amounts of additives in our food are regulated to safe amounts. I can serve and eat these
Safe amounts. Safe as in borderline until you're gonna die.
guilt-free.
But yeah, that's gonna be the end of this video, as I don't want to steal this guy's video completely over, and I don't also want to keep repeating the same things over and over again. And I'm a bit tired of stupid people that I feel like know what they're talking about, but choose not to actually tell the truth. Because inherently, I feel like every single person knows what is good food and what is bad food inherently. If you want to lose weight, literally just be under your maintenance weight. Like, eat under your maintenance calories. I'll put a maintenance calorie calculator in the description. And I'll also put this original video in the description if you want to watch the rest of it. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a nice day and goodbye.